Okay, councillors, can I have your attention, please? Thank you very, very much for attending this evening. Welcome to all of the members of, well, the Henley residents who have joined us this evening for public participation. And welcome to our town clerk. And we actually have the deputy clerk on the, was it Zoom? Yeah, Zoom. Okay, so let's start with the, so this is the agenda for Tuesday, the 2nd of May, and I will start with the first item on the agenda, which is apologies for absence. Okay, we don't have any this evening. Item 2, which is declarations of interest. Do we have any this evening? Yes, Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, item 9, reconsideration of plan application. P23 S0897 as a requirement chairman of the Henley Housing Trust. This is totally non-peculiar for me. I'd like to speak on it this time.
Okay, thank you.
I think you probably should.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll say the same thing, Madam Chairman. Reconsider it. Now, this gentleman's had 3 years to do this work.
No, sorry, we're just doing
2020.
we're just doing declarations of interest at the moment. Do you have any?
Well, I have on this.
No, have you got any, have you, as a councillor, got any declarations of interest?
Not on this.
Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, item number 3, which is to approve the minutes of the planning committee meeting held on the 18th of April. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Okay, item number 3, item number 4 is public participation. Yes. Would you like to state your name and which item?
Opposed to Leith Road,
Sorry, to be
23 Leith Road, number whatever it is. Yeah. 9, whatever it's called.
okay. You've got 2 to 3 minutes to.
Well, I'm sorry, but the fencing up there is absolutely falling as it is. And you want to put more parking on there.
No, we don't want to. We're discussing it this evening.
Yeah, but you're trying to say,
We're not, the councillors aren't trying to say anything. It's an application that has come to the planning committee.
We actually,
So,
well, I've taken photographs.
yes, if you want to
that's
make a
good.
representation, you've got your chance now.
yeah, we did actually recommend refusal last time. That's a rediscussion.
Because if, and you're saying they want to do 2 one-bedroom flats.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but you're gonna have 2 people, possibly it's 4 cars, an extra 4 cars up there.
That's exactly,
It's appalling.
that's exactly.
We have a lot of-
That's exactly what it's like.
It's like you said, necessarily, and the road's quite narrow.
Yeah.
So the fire engines, dustbin lorries, all that, do not get up. I know there's councils here who want to approve it, but it's wrong.
I just.
And I live there and I struggle.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sure.
Can I just speak, because
Have you, if you've finished making your representation? Yeah, okay, yes,
Just to
please do,
say
Councillor
that-
Buckley.
I've had friends that lived up there and they lived in one of the flats up there. I know how small the flats are. I know how small the park is. It's really small. And from our side, when we looked at it a couple of weeks ago, we called out specifically that putting 2 flats in there means 4 cars. And we said, yeah, we were very much against it, very much against it.
I know the police is having 1 person in a flat, which you can't police that.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't get anybody in. The amount of space that in there is really small.
And coming round to where I live,
Yeah,
which is round the back,
Yeah.
you're gonna block me off, and I, you know.
so understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, would any other councillors like to address the resident here? No, okay, all right then. Would anybody else like to speak this evening? Yes, would you like to state your name and which item you're speaking to?
My name is Simon Rack. I'll talk about this. You have a recommended refusal for overdevelopment park planning application, which is 18 Brockle Road.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I have provided further details to the local planning authority on this. And I kind of wanted to hear the comments from you as to what you thought was overdevelopment. We have an application which, prior to mine, we had another architect provide a single dwelling. It had a much larger footprint than our proposed 2 dwellings, We have taken the footprint down, reduced it, provided a lot more garden and amenity space. We've also provided two properties which are of on site area are very similar to properties along Parkwood Close. The end one is actually a lot bigger because it takes in the front, where normally they would have a drive and an area down the front. So I just wanted to highlight that we think that it is in tune with the West of Harcourt Close. The existing planning application for the second dwelling, the work has started for that. They've done excavation, but they've stopped to do this. And it was also, have you questions on this that I could do? Because as you say, it's put in as it's a recommended refusal for over development. And I kind of want to understand whether there's something we could do.
Councillors, do you have any questions at all? Yes.
It's had been recommended twice for refusal on 18 Harcourt Close. And I'm going to stand by that. It gets refused.
Yeah, what are your reasons though that this gentleman's asking for reasons? for-
Over development on the site, not reasons, we're not debating it.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, well, I think it's a reasonable question that he's asking.
I will ask sort of one question. It says here that, I mean, on the 14th of March, we recommended refusal of development. You have submitted amended documents on the 11th of April. What is materially different?
Oh, no, nothing.
Nothing at all.
They got some additional information because they wanted the site, the end site kind of goes down
Okay.
the hill. They wanted more information on that. I have gone to pre-app on this and they were happy with the scheme apart from minor adjustments to do. So we haven't amended anything because, you know, it says O development, but I wanted to understand what that was so I can amend it. The houses line through, they're the same kind of height, they follow the line, they're the same kind of stone, different external cladding.
Well, so just to say that, you know, some of those comments will come out in debate when we actually discuss the planning application. So it's really for us at this point to actually just ask you some questions, which I've done.
Yeah.
And that's it. Okay, thank you.
Right, councillor Buckley then, no, sorry, councillor Arlett first, then councillor Buckley.
Yeah, I had a quick look at the plans, Simon, and have you taken some car park spaces from the original house, the house that's standing there at the moment?
The original, yes, the original house has four
The house,
bays.
the house that's standing there now on the site.
Yeah.
That looked like they had 4 car park spaces or whatever.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that you've taken some of those spaces away.
I've taken 2 for one of the house.
Yeah.
And I have put a 2 parking spaces in the garage underneath that. The reason for that, basically, I didn't want to put parking in front of the end house because I wanted that to be a garden, basically. So each one has 2, and I'm just trying to maximise the garden. I like my gardens and the trees.
To be fair, people don't park their cars in the garage, do they? You know, I wasn't here when this application was debated the last time, and this one just picked up on the car parking. But you know, how many people really use their garage to park a car? Very, very few. So I'm not sure they would. So if there was overdevelopment, I would suggest if there was overdevelopment, I say I wasn't involved in the last one, but that would probably be the reasons why there's not sufficient space for car parking, one would suggest.
I'm happy to change it. It was a discussion I had with the planning authority where they said, actually, we like the fact that you're not parking in front of your house. So we've taken the parking out so it can be used. So I'm happy to, my client's very happy to look at that. You know, sorry.
No, I'm just asking a question.
Thanks for me, because I wasn't at that meeting as I was working away. Is this the site at the end of Harcourt that drops down onto,
It is exactly that one.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It was gonna be flats and then it was, planned permission for 2 houses.
Yeah.
Then it was turned down, then it was gonna be flats and then it's been taken away. It's gone back to the 2 or 3 houses now.
Yeah, there's been quite a planning.
Okay, so
Process,
it's, I was just to make sure I was in the right area. Great.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No, okay, let's move on then.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Would anybody else like to speak this evening? Yes,
Item 220.
yes, if you'd like to
the
state your,
development of Reading Road.
if you'd like to state your name.
Anthony Johnson.
Thank you.
I use the gym at TG Gym and Wellness along with a lot of other people now. And
Sorry.
the plans regarding the development at the football club.
Sorry, can you just hold on a moment?
So it's, it should be item back on the agenda. Technically, it's not an item on the agenda unless you consider that the minutes of the previous meeting is an item on the agenda. So technically, I think it's not, however.
I'll just let them ask. I should-
Okay.
I'll explain. I'll do that tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. I was one of the few people who used to use the gym before it was taken over by Toby Garwood, and it was a very underused, dirty, horrible facility. He took it over in September last year. From a standing start, that gym now has pretty much 200 members, or 198 members of the gym. But more importantly than that are 2 other factors. The first of those is that there are 7 other wellness businesses now located in that building. And between those businesses, they employ, including the people who own them, around 30 people. There are 30 livelihoods relying on that business. With the proposal now to possibly resite the gym in the pavilion going to be built on where the football pitches are, there is not sufficient room to accommodate any of those things. There is not actually enough room to accommodate the gym that's coming forward. I'll come on to that in a second. So those 7 businesses, which are all young businesses, mainly run by young people, will have to find somewhere else to go. The reason they are at the gym is because it's affordable. Because the rent there is considerably lower than it is elsewhere in town. And having spoken to some of those business owners, their view is that they won't be able to find affordable accommodation. So that's a real issue, because any of the town needs to have flourishing businesses, good entrepreneurs, and those people currently take the view that they may not be able to carry on. Second factor is the space, proposed space that's in the pavilion, which is 207 square meters, which is roughly a half to 2/3 of the current size of the gym. Now, of the 198 members of the gym, 102 members attend classes. So there is there's a raised decking area, which is wooden, upon which they have classes, ranging from Pilates to high intensity, to dance classes, to self-defense classes. And then there is a gym floor, which is filled with gym equipment. The new space wouldn't allow for both. So one of the 2 is going to go.
Would you mind hurrying up a bit, because we've got
Yes,
we've only got 5 minutes left of the session. There's another lady who'd like to
Okay,
speak.
the second thing which is important into that is that gym is the strength and conditioning centre for the Andy Club. And as you all know, the Andy Club is the world's most historic and famous rowing club. It's very important for the town of Henley. It provides half the athletes at last year at the 2020 Olympics in rowing. The facility over the road won't be big enough for the Andy Club. So the Andy Club will then lose their strength and conditioning base, which since they started at that gym, according to the chief coach, their results have improved dramatically. If they can train properly in strength and conditioning. So there are a lot of factors which I don't think have been taken into account in putting this application forward.
Right, thank you. I'm going to
Just the very last one, most importantly, Sport England have objected. So you're going to have to revise the application if Sport England object, and I don't think you're going to get it through. So I think the whole thing needs a big rethink.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you'd like to make a point.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
the application isn't new, and with all due respect, all the businesses that took tenancy there, including Toby himself, understood that the planning application was already there. So it's not a new application, it's an application that had been running since the previous gym under Gabby and Nick were there, which was why it was underinvested in. Because they knew that they were only there on a short-term premise. So unfortunately, I think some of the businesses in that site maybe weren't made aware that they were only there on a potentially short-term schedule. If that is news to a few of them, we as councillors are sorry, but when this tenancy was agreed, it's always been known since day one. It was potentially very short-term when this application could go through. This application is an application that with football, hockey, and the affordable accommodation, 100% affordable accommodation that we built on that site, proposes a huge benefit to the Henley Town resident. The number of football players and hockey players, members, parents, and social that will benefit from this, along with the housing which will provide people who work in local businesses an affordable place to live. This has been councillor will correct me, I'm sure, but it's almost a 10-year planning process it's been going through. So it's not new, it's not different. Toby and the current occupants have known that since they signed the contract. Whether Leander knew about it or not is a discussion that they can have with Toby and bits like that. But unfortunately, it's nothing new. So
Not 100%.
Sorry, thank you.
23 out of 50.
Yeah, well, we've got 5 minutes, so you're going to have 2.5 minutes each. So yes, the lady there. If you'd like to state your name, which item you're speaking to.
And I'd like to speak about Toby's gym as well. I call it Toby's by Tesco's. They're on tap, although there are other gyms in Henley, there are none that are as affordable as Toby's for anybody who wants to go and take part of a gym. Even Gillett's is more expensive to join than Toby's gym. It's mirror shop, so it's very convenient for people. I juggle an awful lot. I work, I juggle elderly parents, I juggle looking after various other people. So it's actually very helpful from that point of view. My husband and I started training with Toby at Leander. We followed him to the gym. Yes, we know Nick and Gabby, so we're fully aware of the history of it. But Toby has created an amazing space for a worldwide rowing club. Michelle, I'm very well aware you work at Leander, so you'll realise how important it is, because the space in Leander's gym is sadly not adequate.
I'm not sure they want that out there, by the way.
Well, to be honest,
It's very obvious.
when you stand at the riverbank and you can see that it's not adequate for a worldwide road.
Oh, you can't see it from the riverbank now. Okay, sorry, continue.
Well, okay. Anyway, I'm saying it, I'm happy to talk to the general manager about it if you'd like to discuss why I'm saying it in public. I think it's what Toby has created is something that is also a supportive community. It's not just a gym. He has had 2 membership evenings. I have 2 friends who both need support. They go to Toby's gym and they have been welcomed, and I think that's a really important part of Toby's gym. He employs people in the cafe. He supports NHS staff. NHS staff are given a discount, which I think is amazing. It's a very well used facility. There's a public health agenda which talks about mental well-being and exercise, healthy living. Totally encompasses all of that. I've missed tonight's session. I was running late from a work call. I'd actually booked for a session and decided I'd come here because I feel so strongly about it. And it's something I feel is so important. For me, Toby's gym has made a big difference to my life, and I speak passionately about that. So please say that.
Thank you. Hello, yes. Hello, Emma.
Eastman.
Okay.
I was going to go about the gym and the flats. I was just wondering how many of the flats are actually going to be affordable, because they said out of the 53, not even half are going to be. I just wondered if
So the current government rules, that's from central government, is 40%. And of that now they have a percentage which has to be for social rent. And I'm afraid I can't remember out of the 40% what the percentage is.
So it would be social rent. Will that
No,
be
so
specifically
the
different types of
government guidelines at the moment is,
Yeah.
because this all comes down from central governments,
Yeah,
40% affordable,
yeah.
because they haven't yet, they haven't yet tagged it to local incomes. This is the issue.
I know.
Okay. Yeah. But of the 40%, they now saying that they want X% of the 40% to be for social rent.
Right.
Okay, and I can't remember what it is, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because that's the thing, you see, sometimes things are built and they take affordable housing and then they realise that, you know, I used to work for a homeless charity and affordable housing, it needs to be more specific on what exactly is going to be built before it's built, I think.
Whatever the government says at the time is what we'll do. Fine. Yes, you've got, and one more point, then I want to move on to the.
I was going to say, don't outline planning at the moment, so the numbers can shift both up and down.
I know, but I think it's very important to know, I think it's a bit really what you said about whatever the government said. We need
It's
to
not
know.
willy, it's a dictate from the government.
Affordable is defined at 80% of market value, but market value comes down to the valuation of the land, what the developer values it at, and with outline planning permission, it can't give an exact number because it's not a specific. An outline planning is it's this area for roughly this and roughly this density. That's by definition what an outline plan means. Unfortunately, it's not even on the agenda tonight.
No, I know, I used to work for a homeless charity and I worked a lot with housing, I worked a lot with shelter. And this does come up, it's a big thing, you know, affordable housing.
I agree,
It's not-
we
you know,
all
it's not-
agree,
it's not-
we're just as frustrated as you, I can assure you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Okay,
fine.
we're gonna move on then.
Can't just, it's a big thing that needs to be addressed, not really done. You can't be.
What, I don't understand why you think that we're answering your question.
Well.
Well, no, please, do tell me, I don't quite understand why you think we're not addressing your concerns.
Well, I've just worked with councils before and I'm looking at the plans and the plans are saying affordable housing and I have no figures. I looked online.
It's not in the outline planning.
There's 25 flats online between 150,000 to 300,000 pounds in Henley at the moment. So what is affordable housing? Why can't people move into those flats?
It is laid down by central government and we wish we had more power to tag them to local, but unfortunately they're not giving us that power. Councillor Gavishak, you've got.
Sorry,
They've
a couple of
just
things.
started in London,
We are all in agreement with what you are saying.
Yeah.
We have to abide by rules from central government. So it's not woolly, it is 40% affordable. But in addition to that, Henley Town Council has set up what's called a community land trust, where a local developer has gifted X amount of land so we can build social rental properties on that. And that is what we're doing. So we're absolutely mindful of social rental properties as well. The other thing, there is another site up Grays Road called the Children's Care Home site that is also being developed for key worker and social rental, not affordable, social rental. So we are going over the next year, I would guess, put about 40 or 50 properties onto the market which are social rental. So we are absolutely in agreement with that. So, and I'm sorry, I've explained what it is and we should stop now. Thank you. It's not on the agenda, so therefore we move on.
Thank you. Okay, that closes public participation. You've already had to say, madam, thank you. No, we've gone over the 20 minutes now as well. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's go on to item 5, which is plans amended on page 9, please. Okay, so we've got the first item on the agenda, which is P23 S0581. It's a full application for 18 Harcourt Close. Councillors? Yes, Councillor Gavishak.
Well, I'm going to recommend we reiterate the refusal due to overdevelopment for this site. When we considered it last time, there was a history of this site of overdevelopment. And in fact, there was an SODC site visit, of which I attended, for the previous application. So we're in fact incredibly sensitive about overdevelopment of the site. And I believe that putting 2 properties in addition to the existing property on that site, is overdevelopment. And including all the parking issues or whatever. This is at the end of Harcourt Close, it's the end of the road. So therefore, what we must do is we must be mindful and sensitive to actually the traffic movements going onto that site. So I propose we reiterate, recommend refusal. Thank you.
Okay, so that's seconded. Councillor Romans, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Yes, councillor Buckley.
So there was planning permission granted previously for 2 properties, I believe.
One.
Property, so 1 additional property.
Yeah.
So that it will go to 2 in total. If this is now going to erection of 2 dwellings, okay, in that case, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, yes, you'd like to speak?
No, I'm sympathetic and thank you very much for taking the time to come and speak tonight. But I mean, we see it all the time, like garages just simply do not get used in the modern age for parking. The minute someone has a garage, the next thing that comes in is an application to convert it to a home gym or another bedroom. Yeah, it is what has happened all the way along Harcourt. There are Pilates studios, working rooms, so every space is already used. It's why you'll see from the comments on the online portal that parking is something that concerns every resident on there, oddly, because they've all converted current garages to not be utilised for parking. So I understand it, you've tried to appease it that way in the design, but unfortunately it's just one of those, it doesn't quite work. And it's like the ladies here that took the time to come and speak to the Close as well. It's a similar sort of things, you know, large homes like that. It won't just be 2 cars, it'll be 3 cars and it'll be 4 cars. I live in a tiny 2-bed flat and I get told all the time, oh, flat, you only have 1 or 2 cars. It's like, no, because everyone has 1 car themselves days and kids have a car, and households in this day and age in Henley have more and more cars than ever before. And sadly, it's a problem that afflicts every road. So just as a council, we're firmly in favour of a house on the site, but 2, unless the parking can be addressed slightly better, is an overdevelopment in that sense.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, well, we've got a motion that's been seconded. Let's put it to the vote. All those in favour of refusal? Okay, thank you, that's carried.
Something that was abstaining.
Yeah, of course.
Chair, Michelle, could I just say that the planning officer has asked for some reference to policies on overdevelopment?
Yeah.
As per the email that was sent round.
Yeah, we can certainly provide that. Not
Will
right
someone-
now, but when we write it up, we'll provide the information.
Okay, if someone could send something over to me, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we know you don't like lifting up policy, Kath.
Or the word.
Okay, right, let's move on to the next one, which is P23 S0698 S73. Variation,
It's a simple variation.
variation. Okay, so it's 66 St Andrews Road. Councillor Gabriel.
I wish to reiterate approval. Thank you.
Okay, so that's seconded.
Yeah.
Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? No? Okay, all those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. And P23 S0823 is a household application for 15 Makins Road. Councillor Plant.
It's a simple one. It's a minor variation, how close it is to the boundary. So I think recommend approval as we did back on the 28th.
Lovely, okay. Is that seconded? Councillor Clark, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak?
Councillor
Yes.
Yeah, I was against this. I think this is going to set up a really bad precedent to put this mobile unit in someone's back garden. And the only way I would support it if there is a time limit that is adhered to. And I'm not sure if we can do that.
So I don't quite know what you mean, time limit.
Well, they're saying that the idea of putting this unit in the back garden is to give a accommodation to the mother of the lady that lives in 15 Makins Road. Basically what, you know, and they're basically saying, you know, if the mother was to die, would it be taken away? And that's where it needs a stipulation to put in it, otherwise it could be just turned into these.
One of his Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can put a note on it saying. we would
So,
like to
sorry,
see-
who did the proposal? Who proposed, right?
Well, it's already
Right,
proposed.
yes, so what do you think?
But I think we discussed it last
It's
time.
it's a material amendment, so what do you think?
I don't think we can actually put anything planning wise on it, other than we would like to see this done. But beyond that, I don't think we can. I mean, happy to add it. Of course, just to show goodwill on our part and hopefully some goodwill on their part, and if we do it for this, then in the future, ones coming forward, we can maybe look to make it more watertight. We do these so infrequently, we've only done it on the one tiny 1A that I can think of. And maybe one other in my time as a councillor, so it's not happening all the time. And the next application comes in if we don't think it's in good nature goodwill, or if we think it's going to be a plot of land that's instantly going to be sold, then we just recommend refusal. Whereas at least I don't think this will ever become I'm going to sell off the end of my garden.
Councillor Gavin.
I have seen this at SODC planning where there are time limited
Okay,
sites for mobile homes and caravans. So there, but SODC are the experts on this. So I would suggest that we put a note to say recommend approval subject to condition ensuring the use of the granny annex remains ancillary to the main building. And after construction, there is a time limit of 2 years for that, or they have to come back for planning permission again.
yeah,
And let's put that to SODC to pick the bones out of.
yeah,
Let's make it.
okay, all right, yes, councillor Hillier.
Yeah, I'm just going to support what councillor Gavin said. I've seen it with schools as well and porta cabins. We
Yeah.
put time limits on them.
Oh, what, like
So.
25, 30 years.
Yeah, we don't come back.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah, what was it, on the schools
So,
estate,
uh,
11 billion that we've only got to spend on the schools estate? Yeah.
2 year time limit,
Horrendous.
or they come back for planning, new planning permission.
Happy to have 3.
Fine.
Two seems
Okay.
two seems a bit tight.
So I'd like to speak before we put this to close. Okay, all those in favour of approval with subject to conditions? Okay, thank you, that's carried. Okay, let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is 6, which is plans new. Let's start with P23 S0710. It's a householder application for 41 Kings Road. Yes, that's the plans.
Yeah, recommend approval.
Is that seconded? Councillor Buckley, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, all those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. And next is P23 S1195. It's a household application for Prospect 36 Western Road. Councillor Plants.
Recommend approval.
Thank you. All seconded by councillor Plant. Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. And the next is P23 S1299. It's a household application for 1 Orchard Close. Yes, councillor Gavin.
I recommend approval for this, large property, the dormer is facing to the rear. So therefore I recommend approval.
It's just the one before that.
Seconded?
No.
Councillor Plant, seconded.
Oh,
This-
sorry,
This isn't the.
this is the orchard,
Orchard,
right,
yeah.
propose acceptance, and then I'll talk about St Mark's Road when it happens. Okay, so recommend approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So seconded by councillor Plant.
I'd like to see the tiles match the other ones. I don't normally go for stuff like this. But
Oh,
I actually agree that I actually had a look at it, obviously, because we've been doing a lot of walking around. And they'd all look very similar. Okay, this is going to slightly challenge the look of it, but it's a very small amendment to make the tiles in keeping with the other houses in exactly the same close, rather than going for like a multicolored blue pattern, which would look completely out of keeping. The Orchard Close already have a residents association that have discussed and said it's one of the few things that they do agree on, that they keep the look of those tiles. And it's such a minor amendment to their plan that I'm fairly sure they would go for subject to maintaining the, so they've got the same plan with the hanging tiles. They just want to do different shades of blue, and the residents society said no, it needs to be a single shade matching the current blue. So if we're all happy just to go a matching shade of blue, then
I know they describe it as grey, but.
It's grey,
Yeah.
Okay, so
but I think it's a minor
did
change.
you have a seconder? For your approval, councillor Gavishak?
I formally no, but I'll accept what Lawrence has said.
Oh,
into
okay, so
my-
you
into my proposal.
withdraw yours.
No, just
No, I propose
Yeah, I'm happy for
one or
approval.
two
of the
close,
amendment.
subject to a comment about the tiles.
Okay, and you're the same?
Yeah, great.
Okay, right, okay. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, so that's, let's put this in vote then. All those in favour, subject to the tiles remaining the same. Okay, that's carried, thank you.
Now you can go through Dormer.
Sorry.
Okay, so now we've got P23 S1333, it's a household application for 37 Marks Road. That's in Marks Road.
We should let Ken do this one as his last one, I think.
Councillor Gavishak.
As I said earlier in the meeting, I
One of the things I
propose,
was going to say.
I propose acceptance. Telepathy. I propose acceptance of this approval. Thank you.
Seconded by councillor Plants.
Yeah.
Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval? Thank you, it's carried. Right, let's move on to item 7, any call-ins?
No,
You sure?
not that we're having a big call.
Any call-ins, anyone? No, okay, let's move on to item agenda 8, which is just to list decision notices that come through the planning authority. Yeah, yes, you want to make a point?
Yeah, it was mentioned the last one on page. Where was it? That was for 167 Graves Road.
Yes.
I believe that was for a flat roof.
Okay. Right. Okay, so let's move on to agenda item 9, which is to reconsider an application 25 Lever Road. And it's under P23 S0897. It's a full application. So we've already had some representation this evening from a member of the public. Councillor Arlett, did you want to speak to this evening?
Yeah, I will speak to it, and I understand where the lady's coming from. You know, I took over the chairmanship of the Housing Trust about 15 months ago. I don't get paid for it for that information, and I give a lot of time for it. The thing is with this one here, it's a 2-bedroom unit, which I accept. But the figures that we have with the Housing Trust, there's more need for one bedroom housing. It's as simple as that. There's a massive need for 1-bedroom housing, and we got the figures to support that. The thing is, you've got a letter. I don't know if the lady's read the letter from the officer.
Yes.
And obviously, he's pointing out that the application follows policy. It did have planning permission, which was 3 years ago. That's accepted. But it wouldn't be the Henley Housing Trust's fault. Or it's not their fault that there's all this extra traffic there. It's not the housing trust. No. It's not the housing trust that are causing the problem. They put an application in which follows policy. And that policy is all mentioned in the letter. Now, be it the council wishes to turn it down, that's entirely up to them. But at the end of the day, the district council will follow policy. It's as simple as that. Now, that's all I need to say. It's up to the council now what they wish to do. But the Henley Housing Trust have followed policy. They haven't gone against policy. And I think you'll find it to be very difficult to refuse this, or the officer will do at SODC. As I say, if this council wish to refuse it, that's entirely up to them what they wish to do.
Who's taking questions?
No.
No. Okay. All right, so councillor Pine, you had your hand up first.
I completely agree with Councillor Arlett, but don't shout at me just yet. On policy, yes. But I think like we've done on Harcourt and a few others, I think being residents of the town ourselves and knowing the areas, every now and then we do make some decisions based off it's just not quite right for that street because of its own parking pressures and stuff like this. I agree this could be a tough one to fight at SODC. But as councillor Buckley said, and again, a few of us know, it's like it's an overly congested area. So, you know, I think we stand by our residents and recommend refusal. If we lose it at a later stage on policy, we lose it at a later stage on policy. But I think right now the feeling in that area would be no.
Councillor Buckley.
As we've said before, the parking up there is really bad. The layout is really, really tight. When my friend moved in there, it was just almost impossible to get anywhere near it. You know, we come up there, we helped her unload, and we couldn't even get the car turned around. It was that bad. I'd like to understand if there is anything we can do through the parking committee, through looking at residents parking to limit.
That would be councillor Council.
That's, but again, from the parking committee, we've already had some feedback from there. To try and prevent unauthorized parking and actually put something back in to give you some support around there. Because you do need the access for the emergency vehicles. If it's a housing trust, you need to be able to get in there. It is very tight. It has been squeezed in. And
Oh, sorry, we can't take any other, sorry. Councillor Clark, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I did, Madam Chairman. I'd like to say, who's running this town? This committee or SODC?
Well, it doesn't.
Those people over there don't live in there, they don't know.
But we've had this conversation so many times over the last 4 years. We gave up all of the power in the Local Government Act of 1974. 72, I've been corrected. So I've been saying 1974 for 4 years.
And 74 is not we became part of the town council, but that was out of the 72.
Oh, gosh. Right.
Right,
Okay, let's move on then. Let's put this to the vote then. Everyone's, I think, had their say. So we've got a motion for refusal, which has been seconded. All those in favour of refusal? Okay, that's carried. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the last item on the agenda. Okay, you're welcome.
cheers.
Sorry, it's very structured, but otherwise you can't run a proper meeting. Right, okay, councillors, let's move on to item 10, which is certificate of lawful development applications. These lawful development applications, all we can do is just note them. Okay, and last but not least is 11, progress report for applications called in. And let's just review these quickly with councillor Arlett, as they've got your names right next to them.
The only one of note, Chairman, is 23 Reading Road, which is given plan permission by SODC.
SODC, with which one?
23.
23.
Even though the town council voted against it. So they don't run this committee though.
No. Okay, I'd just like to thank you, councillor Arlett, for your contribution for backing this committee up at SODC. Yeah, I mean, you've been absolutely superb over the last 4 years. So thank you very much on behalf of this committee
It's not
for all
stopping,
your hard work.
not stopping it.
No, it's not.
Okay, so councillors, can I just say,
Proceed firmly.
councillors, can I just say thank you to all of you as well for all of your contributions over the last 4 years. I think as a committee, I think it's worked really, really well.
Yeah.
Really, really well. We're mostly always on the same page, aren't we? Yeah.
Except for collaborative goals. We have been since 1970.
But thank you for all of your hard work on behalf of the town, and I hope that I'm going to be working with you. I hope we're going to be working with you